Now, TRT World's editor-at-large Ahmed Alburai joins me in the studio to comment on President Erdogan's remarks on the Idlib operation. In the past hour, we heard President Erdogan giving a speech at an AK party conference. He discussed Turkey's military operation in the province. Now, Ahmed, what did you make of that speech?
Yesterday, the president, along with this speech, he was asked about the duration of the operation. How long will it take for Turkey to end this operation, and will it be successful, the same as the Euphrates Shield? He said that it's the same as when a boxer gets into the boxing ring, and whenever you get there, you don't start counting the punches. You direct to your enemy, which means that Turkey is there in Syria for a long time in order to find either to win the match or at least to knock out the enemy. And it seems that Turkey is not only interested in Idlib. It's very clear that the president is saying something direct. The message is very clear to the YPG, the affiliates of the PKK here in Turkey, which Turkey perceive as the terrorist organization. They will not, here in Turkey, allow the YPG to have a corridor. They will not allow them to have an outlet to the Mediterranean Sea. And that's the crucial point, because there were lots of leaks from the YPG elements speaking about their efforts to work toward the Mediterranean Sea, and in case they reach that, along with the rich oil fields that they got recently from Daesh, in addition to the Euphrates Shield, or to the Euphrates River as a source of energy, in that case, you have three elements for an independent state, and that's the nightmare that Turkey is not willing to see in the near future. And that's why the operation will not only defeat or impose the de-escalation terms on Idlib forces, mainly Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the Al-Qaeda affiliates, but it also a clear message to the YPG in the whole region that will not allow you to have a terrorist corridor along the border with Turkey. Now,
you mentioned nightmare. What if, possibility of another nightmare, what if this carries on for a very long time, if it's dragged out for months? What about the civilian toll? I mean, they've really borne the brunt of everything here in this 6-year war in Syria.
As I've told you earlier, Turkey learned the lesson from Aleppo, and the second one was the Al-Bab operation. Turkey is highly concerned about the number of casualties that could happen in case the operation escalate. And to do that, to avoid this big number, they're already trying to negotiate with the people. They've already tried with the moderate rebels of Ahrar al-Sham to try to affect them to negotiate with Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. But it seems that Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the Al-Qaeda affiliate, is not listening to what Turkey is trying to tell them. They have two choices. Either they have the Aleppo scenario where they will leave the whole city in ruin, and we will have lots of humanitarian catastrophes in the city, the same as we've seen in Aleppo. Otherwise, they will start thinking that there is no way that you end up this conflict militarily, and you should sit on the table and starting to put the conditions of negotiation, and they will come out with something. Otherwise, this is going to have dire consequences and repercussions on the humanitarian aspect of the region. Basically, the people there, they have nothing to do. They cannot leave the city. They do not have any safe havens to leave to. It's only Afrin, Tel Rifat in the province that is controlled by the YPG, and that's why Turkey is highly interested in this region as well.
Now, Ahmed, you said that Turkey had learned its lessons militarily from Euphrates Shield, but what about Russia? How can you how can you trust Russia's air protection? I mean, air fire. How can you be protected? How can civilians be protected for that? Because the death toll has been so high recently.
Russia is not taking it. It has been accused by many of the human rights groups, mainly the observatory in the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights based in Britain. They've been accusing them of carrying out many airstrikes, killing hundreds of civilians fleeing the region in Deir ez-Zor under Daesh, in other places like Raqqa, the de facto capital of Daesh as well. So you cannot say that the Russians will be contained in any coming conflict in case the deterioration started. But on the other hand, Turkey is highly involved. The Free Syrian Army will be on the land. So I don't believe that the Russians will be there. There is a kind of communication channels between the Russians and the Turkish troops, and they will not be allowed to intervene. Otherwise, this may lead to many casualties that Turkey would be held responsible and accountable for that, which is something Turkey doesn't want to have. It's, again, the lesson that we've learned in Aleppo is not going to take place again, but it depends on Hayat Tahrir al-Sham and how they're going to react. So Turkey, from the one hand, is going to impose the de-escalation, but from the other hand, there should have something in return, which is Afrin. And we know that Russia is in Afrin. It's not the United States that is supporting the YPG terrorist elements in Afrin. It's the Russians who are creating this buffer zone between the Kurdish militias, YPG, and the Free Syrian Army that is backed by Turkey. So in case Turkey succeeds to finish the Idlib province problem, then I think Russia would give Turkey the green light to go on with the operation and finish the Afrin province. And by this, you would have the final word and everything will be settled, so negotiation will start.
Ahmed, thank you so much for that perspective there on Russia and everything else.